Every state in America has one, a single building that stands high above everything else. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore the tallest building in every state. We'll start in Alabama, where Mobile lays claim to the state's tallest building. The RSA Battle House Tower rises 745 feet above the port city's waterfront, completed in 2006 and owned by the Retirement Systems of Alabama, a state pension fund with an unexpectedly bold appetite for real estate. At 35 stories, it's the tallest building on the entire Gulf Coast outside of Houston, which is a remarkable distinction for a city of Mobile's size. Head north to Alaska, and the heights drop considerably. The ConocoPhillips building in Anchorage stands just 296 feet tall, modest by any skyscraper standard. But in a state defined by more tundra than towers, it's the uncontested champion. Originally called the Arco Tower when it was completed in 1983, the 22-story building wears its oil industry roots proudly, serving as the Alaska regional headquarters of one of the world's largest energy companies. Swap the permafrost for desert sun, and you're in Arizona, where Chase Tower has dominated the Phoenix skyline since 1972. The 40-story building was designed by the celebrated firm Welton Beckett and Associates and has accumulated an impressive number of name changes along the way. Valley Bank Center, then Bank One Center, then Chase Tower in 2005, each one a snapshot of American banking history. At 483 feet, it remains Arizona's tallest, more than 5 decades after it first broke ground. Arkansas has its own skyscraper story in Little Rock. Simmons Tower was born in 1984 from a conversation between two ambitious Arkansas businessmen who wanted to give their city a proper downtown anchor. And when it opened in 1986 at a cost of $72 million, it did exactly that. The 40-story, 547-foot skyscraper went by Capitol Tower for nearly 3 decades before Simmons Bank put its name on it in 2014, and it has stood as the tallest building in Arkansas ever since. California, as one might expect, goes considerably bigger. The Wilshire Grand Center in Los Angeles soars to 1,100 feet and has been California's tallest since its completion in 2017. A $900 million, 73-story statement that also holds the distinction of being the first skyscraper built in Los Angeles without a flat roof. That elegantly sweeping spire isn't just decorative, it's a deliberate architectural choice that gives the building a silhouette unlike anything else on the West Coast. The tower houses the Intercontinental Los Angeles Downtown Hotel, along with offices, restaurants, and an observatory. Colorado's is Republic Plaza in Denver, which at 714 feet has held the title of the tallest in both the city and the entire Rocky Mountain region since 1984. Designed by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill and rising 56 floors above the 17th Street Financial Corridor, it's a polished piece of postmodern architecture with a small engineering secret most visitors never discover. The building uses double-decker Otis elevators to move people through the bulk of its floors. Heading to New England, Connecticut's City Place in Hartford rises 537 feet and has been the state's tallest since its completion in 1984. Another Skidmore, Owings & Merrill design. The firm actually appears so frequently on this list that one begins to wonder if they built the entire country. Anyways, City Place also holds the title of tallest building in all of New England outside of Boston, edging out the storied Travelers Tower by about 10 feet. Delaware may be the second smallest state in the country, but Wilmington has a legitimate downtown skyline, anchored by 1201 North Market Street, a 360-foot, 23-story tower completed in 1988. Designed once again by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, the building has cycled through names tied to its financial tenants over the years, and offers a fun bonus on clear days, a view of Philadelphia's skyline some 30 miles to the northeast. Florida's entry is considerably more dramatic. Panorama Tower in Miami's Brickell District completed in 2018 at a cost of roughly $800 million, rising 868 feet across 85 floors of residences, hotels, offices, and retail. It is the tallest building in Florida by a wide margin and one of the tallest residential towers in the entire United States, essentially a vertical neighborhood planted in the heart of one of America's most dynamic cities. Georgia has a genuine super tall, Bank of America Plaza in Atlanta, affectionately nicknamed the Pencil Building for its slender, tapered profile. It climbs 1,023 feet above Midtown Atlanta and ranks among the 25 tallest buildings in the country. Completed in 1992, the tower features a gold-tipped spire that is illuminated at night, making it one of the most visually striking elements of the Atlanta skyline from miles in any direction. Across the Pacific, Hawaii's tallest building is a more recent arrival. The Central Ala Moana, a 43-story residential skyscraper in Honolulu's Ala Moana district, was completed in 2021 and stands 435 feet above a neighborhood better known for its beach park and shopping center. Idaho's entry reflects a state still growing into its ambitions. 8th and Main in Boise, completed in 2014, is an 18-story office tower that stands 323 feet and serves as the Idaho headquarters for Zions Bank. It's a sleek modern building that fits neatly into downtown Boise's evolving skyline, and in one of the fastest growing cities in America, it may not hold its title for all that much longer. Then there's Illinois, which doesn't mess around. Willis Tower in Chicago, known to generations as the Sears Tower before its 2009 rename, is 1,729 feet tall, and held the title of the tallest building in the world from 1973 to 1998, and remains one of the great engineering achievements of the 20th century. Designed by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, the 110-story tower is a must-see, particularly if you're willing to step onto the glass-floored ledge observation deck and stare straight down at the streets of Chicago from over 1,000 feet up. Indiana's contribution is the Salesforce Tower in Indianapolis, which has had nearly as many names as Willis Tower has floors. Originally conceived as American Fletcher Tower, it opened in 1990 as Bank One Tower, became Chase Tower in 2005, and finally took on the Salesforce name in the late 2010s when the tech giant moved in as the anchor tenant. The twin spires reach 811 feet and sit directly on Monument Circle, the geographic and symbolic heart of Indianapolis. Iowa's 801 Grand in Des Moines is 630 feet of corporate quiet confidence. Completed in 1991 and owned by the Principal Financial Group, one of the largest financial services companies in the country, the 45-story tower is topped by an 8-sided copper pyramid, a quirky architectural flourish that sets it apart from the sea of flat-roofed office buildings that populate most of American downtowns. Kansas brings things back down to earth. The Epic Center in Wichita stands 385 feet and has been the state's tallest since 1987, though its early planning stages were considerably more ambitious. Original designs called for twin 20-story towers before the project was revised down to a single 22-story structure. Kentucky's 400 West Market in Louisville is one of the more architecturally distinguished buildings on this list. Designed by the legendary duo of Philip Johnson and John Burgee and completed in 1993 at a cost of $100 million. The 35-story, 549-foot tower has gone through the usual corporate name shuffle, but the design has aged beautifully, a monument to the timelessness of working with architects of genuine talent. Louisiana's tallest is the Hancock Whitney Center in New Orleans, formerly One Shell Square, a 51-story international-style skyscraper completed in 1972 by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, with structural engineering by the brilliant Fazlur Rahman Khan. At 697 feet, it holds a geographic distinction that is at once funny and remarkable. It is taller than Louisiana's highest natural peak, Driscoll Mountain, which tops out at a mere 535 feet. Maine offers the most charming surprise on this entire list. The tallest building in the state is not an office tower or a condo building, it's a church. St. Joseph's Church in Biddeford, a breathtaking neo-Gothic structure dedicated in 1883, rises 235 feet and holds the title by virtue of being both very old and very tall. Maryland's 100 Light Street in Baltimore stands 528 feet above the Inner Harbor City and serves as the state's tallest building, a sleek, mid-century tower that has been a fixture of the Baltimore skyline for decades. Massachusetts has Boston, and Boston has the John Hancock Tower, officially known today as 200 Clarendon Street, a 60-story, all-glass rhombus design by Henry N. Cobb of Impay & Partners that rises 790 feet above the Back Bay neighborhood and has been the tallest building in all of New England since its completion in 1976. The building had a famously rocky early life. Hundreds of its glass panes cracked and fell out after construction, a crisis that took years and significant engineering effort to resolve. Today, the tower's mirror-like facade beautifully reflects the older brownstones and churches of Back Bay. one of the more poetic outcomes of what was for a while a genuine disaster. Michigan's Renaissance Center in Detroit, the Ren to everyone who lives there, is the state's tallest building at 750 feet. Built by General Motors and a coalition of Detroit businesses in the 1970s as a catalyst for downtown revitalization, the cluster of cylindrical glass towers remains GM's world headquarters to this day, a 73-story centerpiece surrounded by its shorter siblings on the banks of the Detroit River. Minnesota's IDS Center in Minneapolis has a stronger cultural claim to fame than almost any other building on this list. Designed by Philip Johnson and John Berge, the 57-story, 910-foot tower was completed in the early 1970s and is connected to Minneapolis's legendary enclosed skyway system. Mississippi's tallest building takes the list in an unexpected direction. The Beau Rivage in Biloxi is a casino resort, 346 feet of gaming floors, hotel rooms, restaurants, and spas operated by MGM Resorts International along the Gulf Coast. Opened in 1999 during the Gulf Coast casino boom, it is one of those entries where knowing it holds the state's height record tells you something interesting about the state itself. Missouri's One Kansas City Place has stood 654 feet above downtown Kansas City since its completion in 1988. Montana, as one might expect from a state famous for its vast landscapes, keeps things modest. The first interstate center in Billings stands 272 feet, anchoring the downtown business district without pretension, a 20-story office building in a state where the mountains in the distance are measured in the thousands of feet. Nebraska has a more dramatic entry than its reputation might suggest. The Mutual of Omaha headquarters tower stands 677 feet, and represents one of the more significant recent corporate investments in a Midwestern downtown, slated to be finished in the summer of 2026. Nevada brings one of the most cinematic stories on the list. The Fontainebleau Las Vegas, now the state's tallest building at 737 feet, sat partially complete and abandoned on the Strip for over a decade after its original developer went bankrupt during the 2008 financial crisis. The 67-story tower changed hands multiple times and became a symbol of Las Vegas's boom and bust volatility before finally opening in 2023. New Hampshire's City Hall Plaza in Manchester stands 275 feet and holds the title of the state's tallest, a 22-story office building that soars high above the rest in the area. New Jersey answers with considerably more ambition. 99 Hudson in Jersey City is a 79-story, 900-foot glass tower completed in 2019 that stands across the Hudson River from Lower Manhattan and is one of the tallest purely residential buildings in the Western Hemisphere. With sweeping views of the New York skyline and over 780 condos, it is the exclamation point on a Jersey City waterfront that has transformed almost beyond recognition in the past 2 decades. New Mexico's Albuquerque Plaza is a dual-tower complex in downtown Albuquerque with the taller structure reaching 351 feet, enough to be and maintain the status as the state's tallest when it was completed in 1990. And then, of course, there's New York. One World Trade Center rises 1,776 feet above Lower Manhattan. That number a deliberate invocation of the year of American independence, making it the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Opened in 2014 on the site of the original Twin Towers, the 104-story skyscraper is one of the most symbolically weighted structures on Earth, representing both the grief of 9/11 and the defiant, unbroken insistence on rebuilding. North Carolina's Bank of America Corbett Center in Charlotte stands 871 feet and was designed by Cesar Pelli, the same architect behind the Petronas Tower in Kuala Lumpur, which explains the tower's sophisticated crown of angular setbacks that gives the Charlotte skyline its most distinctive silhouette. Completed in 1992, it is the architectural embodiment of Charlotte's identity as one of the great American banking cities. North Dakota offers one of the more unusual entries on the list. The state's tallest building is its capital. The North Dakota State Capitol in Bismarck, sometimes called the Skyscraper of the Prairie, is a 241-foot Art Deco tower completed in 1934, a remarkably bold project for its time and place, rising with striking authority from the northern Great Plains. Ohio's Key Tower in Cleveland has stood 947 feet since 1991 and remains the state's unchallenged tallest. Another Cesar Pelli design, this one featuring a stepped illuminated crown that lights up the city's lakefront skyline at night. It is one of the more underappreciated near super talls in the country, dominating a skyline that doesn't always get the credit it deserves. Oklahoma's Devon Energy Center in Oklahoma City is the kind of building that changes the city's self-image overnight. Completed in 2012 for Devon Energy, one of the nation's largest oil and gas producers, the 50-story, 844-foot tower transformed Oklahoma City's skyline into something genuinely impressive and sent a clear message that the city had arrived on the national stage. There is also a tantalizing footnote here. The proposed Legends Tower, planned for Oklahoma City at 1,907 feet, would become the tallest building in the United States by a wide margin, though it has not yet broken ground. Oregon's entry is a different kind of statement. The Wells Fargo Center in Portland, completed in the early 1970s and standing 546 feet tall, is clad in white Italian marble, with an emphasis on verticality integrated into its design. Pennsylvania's Comcast Technology Center in Philadelphia represents the triumphant end of one of American architecture's more interesting local debates. For decades, an informal gentleman's agreement held that no building in Philadelphia would rise above the brim of the hat on the William Penn statue atop City Hall. That era ended decisively, and the Comcast Technology Center, standing at 1,120 feet and completed in 2018, is the tallest building in the United States outside of New York and Chicago. Rhode Island's Industrial National Bank building in Providence, known to virtually everyone in the state simply as the Superman building for its uncanny resemblance to the Daily Planet Tower, has been the state's tallest since 1928 when it opened as a 26-story, 428-foot tall Art Deco landmark designed by famed architects Walker and Gillette. It has sat largely vacant in recent years, the subject of ongoing debate and restoration efforts, but its hold on Rhode Islanders' hearts remains firm. South Carolina's Capitol Center in Columbia is a 349-foot office tower completed in 1989 that anchors the state's capital's modest skyline with quiet competence. Not every state's tallest building needs to be a landmark or a story. Sometimes a building just does its job, holds its ground, and lets the work happen inside. South Dakota makes a different kind of impression. The CenturyLink Tower in Sioux Falls stands just 174 feet. It is an 11-story office building in a state that has generally preferred to expand outward rather than upward. Tennessee's tallest is one of the most beloved buildings in the American South. Formerly the AT&T building at 333 Commerce Street in Nashville, it is universally and affectionately known as the Batman Building, for the twin antenna spires that jut from its roof like a certain Cape Crusader's cowl. It rises 617 feet and has become one of the most photographed skylines in the country. Completed in 1994, it is the kind of building that ends up on every Nashville postcard and t-shirt, a symbol of a city that takes its character seriously. It won't hold its title much longer, though. The Paramount Tower is currently under construction in Nashville and is expected to top out at 750 feet upon completion, claiming the state's crown. Texas, true to form, goes large. The Waterline Tower in Austin will stand 1,034 feet when complete, making it not only the tallest building in Texas, but one of the tallest in the entire country, a fitting capstone to Austin's remarkable skyline transformation over the past decade, driven by a tech boom that has turned a mid-sized university town into a global city almost overnight. Utah's Astor Tower in Salt Lake City stands 450 feet and claims the state's title as a gleaming residential skyscraper designed by HKS architects. It is a reflection of Salt Lake City's rapid growth and urbanization, and it has the good fortune of sitting beneath the dramatic backdrop of the mountains. Vermont, like Maine, offers a church. Grace Church in Rutland, a soaring Gothic revival structure, tops out at 199 feet and is the tallest building in the Green Mountain State. It is a beautiful and humbling reminder that for most of American history, the tallest thing in any town was built not to house corporations or condominiums, but as a place for gathering. Virginia's Weston Virginia Beach Town Center stands 508 feet tall and a city better known for its boardwalk than its skyline. The 38-story mixed-use tower is part of the larger town center development, which transformed a formerly suburban stretch of the city into a walkable urban district, one of the more quietly successful urban planning stories in recent American history. Washington State's Columbia Center in Seattle rises 967 feet and is the tallest building on the West Coast outside of California. Completed in 1985, the 76-story black glass tower dominates a skyline backed by Puget Sound and the mountains and houses the Columbia Center Skyview Observatory, which offers, by most accounts, a better view of Seattle than the Space Needle itself. The West Virginia State Capitol in Charleston, designed by Cass Gilbert and dedicated in 1932, is the state's tallest structure at 292 feet. Gilbert was so pleased with the design of the chamber's interior that he reused elements of it for the United States Supreme Court, making the West Virginia Capitol one of the more architecturally consequential buildings on this entire list. For the record, it is also about 4.5 feet taller than the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., a fact West Virginians are justifiably proud of. Wisconsin has the U.S. Bank Center in Milwaukee, a 42-story, 601-foot postmodern tower completed in 1973. While it is our second to last entry on our list, it is actually the last of the skyscrapers designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill that we will see today. And finally, Wyoming. The Wyoming Financial Center in Cheyenne stands just 148 feet tall, the shortest entry on this list. It was recently purchased by Laramie County to house its growing local government operations. And there you have it, the tallest building in every state. Which one was your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. I'd like to say a huge thank you to our channel members for making videos like this one possible. If you'd like to help support the creation of these videos, join the membership program today. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on This House.